Hi, it's Sandy Wyllie. Welcome to my mental health channel, where I wipe away the stigma of mental illness by talking about my own personal struggles, having borderline personality disorder, having complex post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety and panic attacks, depression. I talk about my narcissistic mother who brutally beat me as a child, my paranoid schizophrenic father, my unethical psychologist who raped me and sexually exploited me, all the different therapies I've been in, and just about a plethora of other mental health related topics. But I only come on as a former patient of almost 20 years. I am not a licensed therapist. I do not hold a degree in psychology, so I cannot diagnose you or give you a professional opinion. All I ask in return of you is your kindness and respect in the comments. Please be kind and respectful to me. Be kind and respectful to other people who comment. We don't need to agree on everything, but we always need to show each other respect and kindness. Now, if you are new to my channel, welcome. A lot of new people have subscribed. They're commenting, and I'm so thrilled about that. Love, the more the merrier, I say. Be sure to, hit that little box in the lower right-hand corner that says subscribe. That way you'll be notified every time a new video comes out. If you like what you see, give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. Share it on social media. Comment, like, share. Let's spread the wealth. Today, what we're going to talk about is forgiveness. I think this is a very important topic to cover, and I have a lot to say about it. Have you been hurt? Everybody on this earth has been hurt. Some of us much more than others. Little children. I've had a horrific childhood, and I talked about that in other videos, but we can be hurt from our family, our own parents, our own children, our best friends, just about schoolmates, especially schoolmates that bully us, co-workers, the person in the grocery store, in the checkout aisle. Everyone gets hurt. You can't live in this world without it. It's inevitable. So what do? Do we hold on to that hurt? Or the son? Or do we learn to forgive him? Let go. I'm moving over because the sun is in my eyes. Well, I never let go of hurt. I never forgave. It took me a very, very long time to forgive. I used to have revenge fantasies of, I love to get back at people who hurt me. Still, yeah, that's better. So I would, conjure up all the things that I could do to make them feel much worse for what they did to me. And this made me feel powerful. But it didn't really help in the long run. No matter which way I turned, the sun there. Sorry. I can't direct the lighting of the sun, and I love to do my videos outside. So, doing revenge, let's talk about that. Making the other person suffer more than they made you suffer. It did give me, I only talk from my personal experiences, a sense of power, a sense of being vindicated. Like the Bible says, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Now, I don't follow the Bible religiously, but it does say that in the Bible. And I always got a personal sense of satisfaction every time I would revenge a person who hurt me. I felt more in the driver's seat. I felt more in control. That was a positive aspect of not forgiving someone, of taking revenge. But the negative thing about it is I would hold on to the rage by not forgiving. So the rage would never go away. I would just be infuriated. And the rage is kind of like a cancer. It eats away at your gut, gives you all kinds of physical ailments like stomach aches, like GERD, IBS, migraines, because I never really let go of the rage, because I didn't forgive. And I would like have fantasies, like my cousin, for instance. I forgave him, and I'll talk about how I forgave him and how it and how forgiving him has helped me. My cousin was like a brother to me. He was an only child. I was an only child. He was 8 years older than me, so he was like an older brother to me. And he lived in the same house my parents had a 2-family house, and me and my parents lived downstairs while he lived upstairs with his father and his stepmother, who he hated. And it was just like Cinderella, except the male version of Cinderella. She had 2 daughters, so he had stepsisters, and he hated them. He moved out when he was really young, in with his aunts, because he couldn't stomach to live with his stepmother and stepsisters. But we did live in the same house for many years. He lived in the apartment above, and like I said, we were just, I knew all his girlfriends. He used to tease me. He used to call me, what do you call me? Squirt or shrimp. And I used to call him Punk. We had nicknames for each other. We used to go like on day trips, boating trips in Boston with him. And, he was up on holidays, and just like, brother and sister, really. Then what happened was my father, because he has paranoid schizophrenic, got in a real bad bout with his schizophrenia and landed up in McLean's hospital. He was delusional. He became violent. He was in really bad shape. Schizophrenia is a severe mental illness where people hallucinate, hear voices in their ears that tell them to do to do horrific things. It's a really bad mental illness. So the sun is just all over me today, no matter which way I turn. That's even worse, isn't it? So when my father was away, my mother died, and she died of a heart attack just all of a sudden, and I had to tell my dad. And so then 2 weeks later, I found out my dad had terminal liver cancer, and he was dying as well. And it was just horrific. And at the same time, my son, who has traumatic brain injury, he was in the hospital. So I had all this stuff going on, and it was so difficult for me. It was really impossible. I was the only child. So because Stephen was like an older brother, he came in and he helped me. I should have got out here. I'm sorry, I should have got out here much earlier to do this video. I didn't realize that the sun was gonna, be a blinding factor in my doing the video. That's even worse. So I'm in the sun. Hey, can't escape the sun today. So that's the squirrels chasing each other. So what happened was my father thought of my cousin Stephen like a son. I thought of him like a brother, and my father thought of him like a son. So he gave him access to his bank account because my father was dying of liver cancer. And it was just horrific. It's very hard for me to talk about it. But what was horrible about the whole situation is that, excuse me, This is the most jumpy I've been in a video. I should have just started over here. Oh, God. Sorry about that, me jumping all around. So what happened was, my father gave Stephen access to the bank account and to help him pay the bills, because he thought of Stephen as like his own son, really. He thought of him like he's his own son. So he trusted him like his own son. And Stephen took all the money, and instead of paying the bills, he gambled it. He went to the Bahamas, and he gambled all my father's money away. My father was left penniless. And he also stole my inheritance, because that was tied into it too. So it was horrific that he could do this to my dad, who trusted him like a son, and I trusted him like a brother. He was my Uncle Philly's son, so he was my father's brother's son. And he was an only child like me. And I said, we grew up, we lived in the same house. So it was really horrific, burying two parents back to back. And then get this, too. I bought like a big stone for my parents' grave. And Stephen stole, I don't know what he did, but my parents never got a stone for their grave because Stephen stole that money. I don't know, because we both went together to purchase the gravestone, and I guess I wasn't in my right frame of mind, you know. He took all that money that was supposed to be for my parents' gravestone, and he stole that too, and he squandered it, and it was just horrific. So I got a lawyer, and I had to go through years of fighting. At the same time, I had to bury both of my parents back to back, and my son was in the hospital for a traumatic brain injury. It was horrible. You could probably wonder why my father didn't trust me to pay his bills. But Stephen was older and a man, and my father was old-fashioned and thought that, you know, a man should take care of the money. You know, he just gave it to Stephen. He probably thought I had enough to deal with my son and, you know, being in the hospital and everything. And he trusted, like I said, Stephen like a son. So when this all came out, of course, I had nothing to do with him, and I got a lawyer, and I also called the police, and he was arrested for stealing money, you know. He was arrested, and I got a lawyer, and I went through the courts. I eventually got my money back, but I never forgave him. I did forgive him in the end. I'll get into that. I had this hate, deep-seated hate in my heart for him, like really, you know, it like was it just ate away at me. This is what hate does when you don't forgive. It hurts you, not the person. Stephen, you know, didn't give a shit about me. But it ate away at me. It ate away at my guts. I got physically sick. That's when I started getting GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. It's a disease. And what happens is, because of all the trauma, you know, I was producing excess acid that was, you know, giving me almost stomach cancer. I had very bad bacteria in my stomach. I had to be hospitalized and put on heavy rounds of antibiotics. The acid was going back in my throat. That's why I said the mental and the physical are always tied together. Those two things are always tied together, the mental and the physical. So I got very sick over what happened. And I used to have these fantasies of having Stephen like tied on a rope upside down over a flame, over a big flame, and roasting his balls. I would daydream about this because I was so, I was just so traumatized. You know, how could I forgive him? You know, forgiving isn't the same as forgetting. And forgiving someone doesn't mean that you're going to go back into a relationship with them. You know, you can forgive someone and but not forget and not have to have anything to do with them ever again. The sun is everywhere today. So being out here, I'm gonna be in the sun, and I can't keep moving all around. So how did I end up forgiving him? Forgiving him was the best thing that ever happened to me for myself, because I felt at peace. Before, when I didn't forgive him and I had those revenge fantasies, I was not at peace. My gut was sick. I said I had acid and bacteria in my gut. I had to be hospitalized. I was physically ill by holding on to the hate. When I let go of the hate and forgave him, this was after 10 years now, all right? This wasn't overnight. This took 10 years to forgive him, 10 whole years. And I forgave him when they finally, when he was, put in prison, a maximum security prison in Walpole, and he had a 10-year sentence. Of course, he died well before karma comes around anyway. So just picture it this way. What goes around comes around. Karma will get you all the time. Will get the person, all right? You don't have to worry about getting the person, because karma will. Anyway, so I decided to forgive him once he was serving his sentence in prison. And I'm going to have to end this video soon because this is not working out today. And I actually went to prison. I visited him in prison. And I told him that, I forgave him, and we talked, and it brought complete closure to me. So it was a release. It was a release to finally forgive my cousin for all the horrific things he did. Not for his sake, but for my sake. And now that's the only person in my life that hurt me immensely where there is closure. See, this is what forgiveness does. It releases the pain that you have, and it brings closure, and you find peace. I still have not forgiven other people in my life that hurt me, and there is no closure there compared to my cousin, who I did forgive, and I found closure by forgiving my cousin. So how did that happen? How did I, forgive him after 10 years? I can't tell you because there isn't a certain timetable, on forgiveness. It's not something you can do like that, It took me 10 years to forgive my cousin. A lot of time went by, and he was going to prison anyway. So I don't think there's a magical formula I can share with you to tell you how you could forgive someone. All I can tell you is gonna, sometimes it takes a very long time. In my case, 10 years, because he did a lot of damage. But when you finally do reach that point, and it's different for everyone, I'm not going to tell you forgiveness takes 10 years because it took me 10 years. I mean, it's different for everyone. I'm just going to tell you how it felt to forgive. It brought me peace to forgive my cousin. It brought me closure. I finally, the rage was gone, was wiped away. It was completely wiped away, and I felt closure. And so I can look back at that time in my life when those horrific things he did happened, and not feel rage. Now, in other instances and circumstances with other people where I have not forgiven them, every time I look back on them, I feel intense rage. So I'm suffering because my gut is hurting. I'm having bad stomach pains. Now there's a bee flying around me. This was a bad idea to do this video outside. It was a really bad idea. I'm so sorry. I've been moving around. The sun is everywhere. You can't avoid it. I'm going to end it now because I just, it's just crazy. I just love to be outside so much. and it's such a warm, beautiful day. It's like summer out here in Boston. It's like, it's going to be in the 80s today. It's gorgeous. But it's really worth it to forgive someone. You don't have to rekindle the relationship. You don't but just forgiving them, you don't even have to speak to them to forgive them, really. You just forgive them in your heart. You don't have to have a conversation with them. You don't have to tell them, I forgive you. It's just a release, okay? It brings you so much peace. It gives you so much closure. It's really a wonderful feeling. And like I said, you don't have to speak to them. You don't have to have a relationship with them to forgive them. You don't have to, it's within yourself, in your heart, it's within you. And I highly recommend, if you can bring yourself to that point, it probably would take a very long time, but I know, because this bee, this bee won't leave me alone. All right, let me know if you've forgiven someone, how it felt. If you haven't forgiven someone, how it feels to hold on to the anger and resentment and hurt and rage. Let me know how you worked out past hurts. I want an ongoing dialogue here, so I can learn from you and you can learn from me, and we can grow and spread the love on this channel. And let's talk about forgiveness. Share what you've been through. Share if you forgave, if you could forgive. If you didn't, tell me how it feels. What are your thoughts on forgiveness? And until next time, I'm very sorry again that I have bees and in the sun, and the light is all over and making me crazy on this video. So apologies, so sorry. I'm sorry. All right, till next time. Take care.